The story begins with the introduction of the boss, a successful and respected man who owns several high-end stores. He is known for his hard work and dedication to his business, always striving to maintain a great reputation. While he is proud of his stores, he has recently begun to notice that the level of customer service across his locations has been slipping. Despite receiving positive feedback from many customers, he senses that something isn't quite right. Some customers have complained that the service isn't as friendly or professional as it should be. This bothers him deeply, as he has always believed in treating every customer with the utmost respect. Determined to find out what is really happening behind the scenes, he comes up with an idea to test his employees. Instead of just relying on reports and feedback from others, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He wants to experience the customer service firsthand, but without his employees knowing who he really is. So he makes a bold decision. He'll disguise himself and visit one of his stores as a regular customer. This way, he can observe how his employees interact with customers and make sure they're following the company's high standards. He carefully plans his visit. The boss wants to be sure that no one recognizes him, so he changes his appearance, opting for casual clothes and leaving behind any signs that could reveal his true identity. He wants to blend in and be treated like any other shopper. He chooses one of his busiest stores, knowing that the customer service will be put to the test in a high-pressure environment. The employees won't know it, but they are about to face a challenge unlike any they've had before. As he enters the store, he feels a mixture of excitement and nervousness. It's been a while since he's been in one of his stores as just a regular customer, and he's eager to see how everything is running. The store is buzzing with activity. Customers are walking around, browsing products, and asking questions. The employees are moving swiftly, helping customers with their needs. But as he starts to walk around, he realizes that things aren't as perfect as he hoped. The store is clean, and the displays are well arranged, but he can already sense a few things that don't seem right. He doesn't want to jump to conclusions too soon, so he decides to continue his observation. The first employee he encounters is behind the counter, helping a few customers with their purchases. The boss, disguised as a regular customer, waits patiently in line, watching her. When it's his turn, he steps up to the counter and greets her with a smile. She looks at him briefly, but doesn't seem to offer much in the way of a warm greeting. Her tone is polite, but it's clear that she's more focused on the task at hand than on giving him the kind of attention a customer deserves. This catches the boss off guard. He had expected more from his employees, especially at this particular store, where the company's reputation for excellent service is supposed to shine. The first interaction leaves him wondering if this is just an isolated incident, so he decides to explore further. He walks around the store, observing other employees as they interact with different customers. He starts to see a pattern developing. Some employees seem to be dismissive or distracted when interacting with customers who aren't wearing expensive clothes or don't seem as important. The boss is starting to feel disappointed, but he remains calm and patient. He's not judging yet. He's just gathering information. He knows that it's easy to get caught up in busy work and forget the little things that make great service stand out. With every step, he becomes more determined to continue his undercover mission, unsure of what he'll find next. Will things improve, or will the worst fears he has about his business come true? As the day progresses, he moves deeper into the store, silently observing his employees, each encounter adding to the tension of what's to come. The boss, now fully immersed in his undercover mission, continues to walk through the store, watching every interaction closely. His heart pounds a little faster with each new employee he observes. Despite his calm exterior, he's starting to feel a little uneasy. This is the moment when he begins to truly realize the importance of his decision to test his employees this way. As he moves deeper into the store, he takes mental notes of every little thing: the tone of voice, the body language, the level of engagement. He's not just observing customer service, he's watching the essence of the company he's worked so hard to build. The next employee he encounters is a young man, sorting some merchandise on a display shelf. The boss watches as a woman enters the store, clearly in a hurry, and approaches him for assistance. She asks for help finding a specific product, one that isn't easy to locate. The young man barely looks up from his work, giving her a quick, uninterested reply. He points vaguely in the direction of the aisle she needs but doesn't offer to walk her there or ask if she needs anything else. He doesn't even take the time to make sure she's satisfied before turning back to his task. As the woman leaves, the boss shakes his head. He's disheartened by this interaction. The young man didn't make an effort to be polite or helpful, and it's not lost on the boss that this could have been a missed opportunity to turn a simple shopping trip into a memorable experience for the customer. He wonders how often this type of interaction happens. How many customers have walked away with a bad experience, never bothering to return. The boss starts thinking about how even the smallest actions can make or break the reputation of a business. Determined to continue his investigation, the boss moves further into the store. His next encounter is with an older woman who greets him with a smile. She's working at the checkout counter and seems friendly enough. He approaches her, pretending to make a small purchase. She scans his items without any issue, but there's no attempt to engage with him beyond the bare minimum. No pleasant small talk. No, how's your day going? Or even a thank you for shopping with us. Just the simple transaction, and then she moves on to the next customer. While the boss appreciates that she's doing her job, he realizes that there's a lack of warmth in her approach. The interaction feels cold, mechanical. This moment stings a little more because the boss is now understanding the depth of the issue. He's beginning to see that it's not just a few isolated incidents. It's a pattern that is beginning to spread throughout the store. Employees seem to be doing just enough to get by, but not going that extra mile to make customers feel valued and appreciated. This is the core of his concern. Customer service isn't just about completing a transaction. It's about creating an experience, one that leaves the customer feeling like they matter, that they're important. At this point, the boss feels a sense of urgency rising within him. He needs to see if there are employees who are still committed to offering top-notch service, the kind he expects. He's growing more determined to find at least one person who can set the example for the rest. Will there be someone who truly stands out, or is the entire team falling into a rut of complacency? With every step, the tension builds, and the boss's anticipation grows. He doesn't know what to expect next, but he knows one thing for sure. He's about to uncover some crucial truths about his business and the people who represent it. As the boss continues his secret investigation, he can't help but feel a growing sense of frustration. He's now walked through several sections of the store, interacted with a few employees, and witnessed what seems like a lack of enthusiasm and genuine care in customer service. He feels disappointed, but he refuses to let his emotions cloud his judgment. His goal isn't to punish anyone but to understand why this is happening and how he can fix it. The next employee he encounters is a young man working in the electronics department. The boss approaches him with a question about a new product, pretending to be a curious shopper. The employee looks up briefly but doesn't give much attention to his inquiry. Instead of offering helpful advice or showing excitement about the product, the young man just points to a shelf and says, "It's over there." The boss feels his disappointment grow as he watches the employee turn away and begin working on his computer, completely ignoring the fact that he hasn't fully addressed the customer's needs. At that moment, the boss starts thinking about how easily these interactions can impact a business. A single cold response could easily turn a potential customer into someone who never returns. What if this was a first-time customer, and this was their only interaction with the store? It could very well be the deciding factor on whether they'll ever shop there again. He wonders if the employees even realize the consequences of their actions. The boss presses on, determined to keep his eyes open for something better. He decides to visit another department, hoping for a change in the atmosphere. The next employee he encounters is a woman working in the clothing section. She's folding some shirts when a customer approaches her, asking for a different size in a particular item. This time, The boss notices something different. The employee immediately stops what she's doing and smiles at the customer, offering to check the stock in the back. She doesn't rush through the exchange and takes the time to ask the customer if there's anything else they need while they're there. The customer seems genuinely happy with the service, thanking her as she walks away. The boss watches this exchange with a sense of relief. Here, finally, is an employee who understands the true meaning of customer service. The woman goes above and beyond to meet the customer's needs and even makes them feel valued in the process. The boss feels a small sense of pride that there's still someone on his team who gets it. This is the kind of interaction he's been hoping to find, the kind of service that sets his business apart from the competition. He doesn't approach her just yet, though. He wants to see more, to understand if this type of service is the exception or the rule. So he steps back and continues to observe from a distance. As he watches, he starts to think about how much this moment means. It's not just about making a sale or meeting a customer's immediate need. It's about creating an experience that makes people feel heard, respected, and valued. This is the kind of interaction he wants to see across all his stores, not just in one department. The boss continues to move through the store, hoping that more of his employees will show the same level of dedication and care. His frustration is still there, but now he has a glimmer of hope. Maybe things aren't as bad as they seem. Maybe with the right training, the right motivation, he can inspire his entire team to follow the example set by this one employee. As he walks on, his mind races with ideas for how he can make this store and his entire business better. As the boss continues his undercover mission, he can't shake off the mixture of emotions building within him. He's seen some disheartening customer service, but the interaction with the helpful employee has reignited a small spark of hope. It's clear that not all of his team members are failing, but he's still concerned about the larger picture. How many more employees are like the young man in the electronics section, disengaged and indifferent? He knows that this kind of behavior could easily become the norm if it's not addressed properly. Determined to press on and get a clearer picture, the boss decides to visit a new section of the store. He steps into the home goods department, where various appliances and furniture are displayed. The atmosphere here feels slightly different, less busy, but still full of potential for interaction. The boss looks around, hoping to find another example of either great service or the lack thereof. He notices a middle-aged man behind the counter, speaking with a customer. At first, everything seems fine. The man is helping a customer choose a vacuum cleaner and asking the right questions about their needs. But as the conversation progresses, the boss starts to notice small signs that make him uncomfortable. The employee seems to be rushing through the conversation, cutting the customer off before they can finish speaking and offering quick, unhelpful responses. The boss watches, feeling frustrated again. It's not that the man is being rude, but he's clearly not going the extra mile. He's doing the bare minimum to make the sale, and the customer, though polite, seems a little unsure about the choice. The boss wonders if this employee even notices that he's not fully engaging with the customer, missing the opportunity to make them feel heard and valued. The boss quietly moves away, his disappointment growing. This is becoming a pattern. Too many employees are just checking off the boxes of their tasks without considering the bigger picture. They're so focused on moving quickly that they're missing the chance to connect with the customer on a personal level. The boss can't help but think about how many times this kind of attitude could turn a simple sale into a lost opportunity. He's seen more and more how important it is to train his employees not only to sell products, but to create genuine, meaningful experiences for the people who walk into his stores. As he moves through the department, he sees a young woman folding towels. She's the only employee in sight, and the boss decides to test her. He walks up and casually asks her if she can help him find a specific brand of kitchen towels. She looks up briefly, and instead of simply pointing him to a nearby shelf, she smiles and walks with him to the section. They chat as they go, and the boss notices something remarkable. She asks him questions about what he likes in towels, making sure she's guiding him toward the right choice. She even gives a few suggestions that could suit his needs, showing genuine interest in helping him pick the best product. For a moment, the boss feels a wave of relief wash over him. Here, finally, is an employee who not only understands the importance of customer service, but also seems to genuinely care about the customer's satisfaction. The interaction is warm, and he can feel that she's making a real effort to ensure that he gets exactly what he needs. This is what he's been hoping to see throughout the store: employees who treat every customer with respect and offer more than just the bare minimum. After she helps him find the towels and checks in to make sure everything is to his liking, the boss thanks her and watches as she continues her work, moving on to help other customers. He's impressed by how she handled the situation. She wasn't just doing her job. She was doing it well, with care and attention. The boss realizes that the best customer service isn't about flashy gestures or going above and beyond in extreme ways. Sometimes it's just about being present, listening to what the customer needs, and offering helpful suggestions. It's a small interaction, but it means everything. The boss feels more determined than ever to make this kind of service the standard for his entire business. He makes a mental note to follow up with this employee, recognizing her for the quality of her work. But he also knows that he needs to address the other employees who are still falling short. He has seen enough to know that there's a lot of work to do, but the positive examples are giving him hope that things can change. The boss, now feeling a mix of hope and frustration, continues to observe the store with a sharper focus. After the positive interaction with the young woman in the home goods section, he feels a sense of relief, but the task at hand is far from over. He knows that these small, individual successes are what he needs to see across the store, but he still has many employees to observe. He wonders how much of what he's seen so far is just a few exceptions. He wants to understand what's really happening in his stores. Are the problems systemic, or are there just a few individuals who need coaching? He moves towards the checkout area, deciding to observe the employees who interact with customers most frequently. The checkout experience is crucial. It's the final step in a customer's journey, and how they are treated at this point can leave a lasting impression. He watches as a young man checks out a customer who seems to be in a hurry. The young man greets the customer with a polite but distant "hello" and begins scanning the items quickly. The boss notices that there's no real conversation, no attempt to make the customer feel comfortable or appreciated. It's just a cold transaction. The customer, although polite, looks slightly uncomfortable, trying to hurry along the process. As the boss watches, he feels his disappointment building again. The employee isn't rude, but his lack of enthusiasm and engagement is glaring. The boss wonders if he even realizes how much more effective a warm greeting and a friendly conversation could be. The transaction finishes with the young man handing over the receipt without saying a word, and the customer quickly exits the store. The entire experience felt transactional, almost as if the employee was just going through the motions. It's clear that something is missing, and the boss can't help but feel concerned. How many customers leave the store feeling like they've just been treated as another number, not a valued shopper? The boss knows this needs to change. He understands that not every employee will be naturally outgoing or enthusiastic, but there must be a way to train them to treat customers with the respect they deserve. His thoughts are interrupted as another employee walks into view, this time, a woman at the customer service desk. He decides to approach her, wanting to test a different scenario. As he gets closer, he sees that she's speaking with an older gentleman, helping him resolve an issue with a recent purchase. The boss watches intently, paying attention to how she handles the situation. He can tell immediately that this woman is different from some of the others he's observed. She listens carefully to the customer, nodding as he explains the problem, and she doesn't interrupt. The boss can see that she's making an effort to understand the issue before offering a solution, and she seems genuinely concerned about ensuring the customer is satisfied. The employee walks the customer through the return process calmly, answering all of his questions and giving clear instructions. The boss watches as the customer leaves, looking pleased with the service he received. He feels a sense of pride bubbling up within him as he realizes this is what he's been looking for. This woman isn't just doing her job. She's making an effort to go beyond the basic requirements and provide excellent service. The boss feels a sense of relief wash over him. For every disappointing interaction, he's now found a shining example of what customer service should look like. There's still hope. This employee's approach is exactly what he wants to see across his stores. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, patient, and genuinely helpful. This woman wasn't just solving a problem. She was ensuring the customer felt valued and understood. The boss realizes that these are the moments that define a business, and these are the qualities he wants to see in every member of his team. He takes a deep breath and moves on. While he's seen some troubling interactions, the positive ones have helped balance his perspective. He feels more determined than ever to help his team develop these skills. There's no time to waste. The improvements can't wait any longer. The boss knows that if he works with his employees, they can transform these experiences into something that will not only benefit the business, but also leave every customer feeling heard and respected. The journey ahead won't be easy, but with the right leadership and dedication, change is possible. The time had come for the boss to reveal his true identity. After days of watching his employees' interactions, he had seen both good and bad examples of customer service. He had observed his team closely, noting where they excelled and where they fell short. There was a sense of unease lingering within him, as he realized that the problems he had noticed weren't just a few isolated incidents. They were part of a larger pattern. The gap between his expectations and the reality of his employees' performance was growing more evident by the minute. It was clear to him now that his stores needed a wake-up call. With a deep breath, the boss made his decision. He would no longer remain hidden in the shadows. He had seen enough, and it was time to address the issue head-on. He gathered the employees who had interacted with him over the course of his undercover visit and invited them into a private meeting room. His heart was racing, but he remained calm on the outside. He knew this moment would be crucial, not just for the success of his business, but also for the future of his team. As the employees began to gather, confusion spread across their faces. They had no idea why they were being called together, and many of them seemed nervous. The boss stood in front of them, his expression unreadable. He waited until the room fell silent before speaking. "I've been watching you all for the past few days," he began, his voice steady. "And I think it's time I told you why." The employees exchanged puzzled looks, clearly unsure of what was happening. The boss paused for a moment, allowing the tension to build. Then, with a slight smile, he revealed the truth. "I'm the owner of this store," he said. The words hung in the air, and the shock on their faces was immediate. Some employees gasped, while others stood frozen, their eyes wide in disbelief. They had no idea that the man they had been serving was the very person who paid their wages. The room buzzed with murmurs of surprise, but the boss continued. "I've been here undercover, posing as a customer to see how things are really running," he explained. "I've watched how you interact with customers, and I've seen some good examples of service. But I've also seen a lot of room for improvement. That's why we're having this conversation today." The employees shifted uncomfortably in their seats, unsure of what to expect next. The boss could feel their tension, but he knew this was the only way to bring about the change the store desperately needed. "The way you treat customers is crucial to the success of this business," he said, his tone serious. "It's not just about making a sale. It's about creating an experience. Every interaction counts. If we want our customers to come back, we have to make them feel valued, respected, and heard." The boss took a deep breath, trying to keep his emotions in check. "I've seen some of you do this well, and I've seen others fall short. That needs to change." The room was silent for a few moments as the employees absorbed his words. The boss could sense their embarrassment, but he wasn't trying to shame anyone. He was trying to spark a change, one that would benefit not just the business, but also them as individuals. He had no intention of firing anyone, but he did expect improvement. "I know not every one of you is naturally outgoing or perfect at customer service," he said, But that's why we need to work together. We'll be offering more training, providing resources, and working on improving communication. But the most important thing is your attitude. You must always treat customers with respect and make them feel like they're the most important person in the store, no matter who they are. The boss looked around at his employees, giving them a moment to reflect on what he had said. He could see a mix of guilt, realization, and determination in their eyes. It was clear that some of them were ready to improve, but others still seemed unsure. He needed them to understand that this wasn't about a single mistake. It was about a collective effort to raise the standard of service across the board. The next step is simple, the boss continued. We'll start by setting new expectations. I want each of you to take ownership of your role in this store. I want you to engage with customers, be present, and be willing to go the extra mile to help them. If you're unsure how to improve, I'm here to support you. The meeting ended with a sense of uncertainty, but also a spark of hope. The boss knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. Changing the culture of a business wasn't something that could be done overnight, but he was determined to make it happen. And he was confident that with the right guidance and effort, his team could turn things around. It was time for a new beginning, and the real work was just about to begin. After the boss's revealing meeting, the employees left the room with mixed emotions. Some felt embarrassed and overwhelmed by the unexpected challenge, while others seemed more determined, eager to prove themselves and make a difference. The boss knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy. Change wasn't something that could happen overnight, but he also understood that if they worked together, they could turn things around. The first step had been taken, acknowledging the problem, and now it was time for solutions. In the following days, the boss began to implement a plan to improve customer service. He started with a series of workshops for his employees, focusing on communication skills, empathy, and how to engage with customers in meaningful ways. These workshops weren't about pushing for perfection. They were about creating a more genuine connection with each customer who walked through the door. The boss wanted to make sure that every employee, no matter their role, understood that customer service was about more than just completing a transaction. It was about making every person who entered the store feel valued and respected. The first workshop was held in the break room, where employees gathered around with a mix of curiosity and hesitation. The boss stood in front of them, ready to begin. I know that some of you might feel uncomfortable with the changes we're making, he started, but I want you to understand that this is an opportunity for us to grow, not just as a business, but as individuals. Each one of you has the potential to make a real difference in the way we serve our customers, and I'm here to support you through this. He spent the next few hours teaching them key strategies for improving their interactions with customers. He emphasized the importance of active listening, something many of his employees had missed in their rush to get through tasks quickly. Listen to what the customer is saying. Pay attention to their needs. Don't just rush to offer a solution before you understand the problem, he told them. It was a simple idea, but it was one that would make all the difference in how customers felt about their experience. The workshop also covered body language and tone of voice. The boss stressed that a warm smile or a friendly tone could change the entire mood of an interaction. It's all about making the customer feel welcome, he explained. You don't need to be overly enthusiastic if that's not your style, but being polite and genuinely helpful goes a long way. The employees listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. The boss could see that, despite their initial hesitation, many of them were beginning to realize the importance of these changes. By the end of the workshop, there was a sense of excitement in the air. They weren't just being told to do better. They were being shown how to do it, and they felt equipped to handle the challenge. Over the next few weeks, the boss observed the changes in the store. He noticed that employees were taking more time with customers, asking thoughtful questions, and offering help without being prompted. There were still some areas to improve, but the shift was undeniable. Customers were responding positively, and the atmosphere in the store felt more welcoming. Employees seemed more confident in their roles, and they were taking pride in their work. It wasn't perfect yet, but the progress was evident, and it made the boss feel hopeful. The most noticeable change was in the attitude of the employees. They began to see customer service not as a task to check off, but as an opportunity to make a real impact. The younger employee in the electronics section who had been distant at first started engaging more with customers, answering their questions with enthusiasm. The cashier, who had barely said a word during his earlier visit, now greeted every customer with a warm smile and a friendly "thank you for shopping with us." While there were still moments of miscommunication or hesitation, the boss could see that his team was learning and growing. He knew that the journey wasn't over and that there would always be room for improvement, but he also knew that they were on the right path. The real transformation had begun, and it was clear that the team was beginning to take ownership of their roles in a way they hadn't before. For the boss, it was a turning point. The progress was a reminder of why he had made the decision to test his employees in the first place. It wasn't about punishment, it was about growth, both for his team and his business. As he watched his employees confidently interact with customers, he felt a deep sense of pride. They weren't just following instructions anymore. They were living the values of the company. As the weeks passed, the transformation in the store became more and more evident. The efforts put into improving customer service were starting to pay off. The employees, who had once seemed disengaged or focused solely on their tasks, were now fully immersed in their roles. They smiled more, made eye contact with customers, and took the time to really listen. The customers, in turn, responded positively. There were fewer complaints and more positive reviews, and the atmosphere in the store was lighter, more welcoming. The boss visited the store more frequently, not just to check on progress, but to observe the impact of the changes. Each time he walked in, he saw his team working together, taking pride in what they were doing. The employees were genuinely happy to be there, and it showed. They greeted customers with warmth and offered help with enthusiasm. There was a noticeable difference in the energy of the store. It felt less like a place of business and more like a place where customers felt valued and appreciated. One afternoon, the boss watched as a young employee, who had struggled with customer interactions in the past, approached a customer with a concern. The customer was clearly upset about a product, but instead of brushing them off or getting defensive, the employee calmly listened to their issue. They took the time to understand what went wrong and offered a solution, going so far as to apologize for the inconvenience. The customer left the store with a smile, satisfied not just with the resolution, but with how the employee had handled the situation. The boss stood at the back of the store, smiling to himself. This was exactly what he had hoped for. The team wasn't perfect, of course. There were still small hiccups here and there. Some employees needed reminders, while others were still learning how to handle difficult situations. But overall, the atmosphere had shifted. The boss could see that his employees were now genuinely invested in the company's success. They weren't just showing up to work. They were taking ownership of their roles and realizing the importance of what they did every day. To reward his team for their hard work and dedication, the boss decided to hold a small celebration. It wasn't about handing out bonuses or awards. It was about recognizing the effort that had gone into the changes they had made together. He invited all the employees to a casual gathering at a local cafe, where they could relax and enjoy each other's company. During the event, he took a moment to express his gratitude. "I'm proud of each and every one of you," he said, raising a glass. "The improvements I've seen in this store over the past few weeks have been incredible. You've all shown that you care about this business and the customers we serve. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see how we continue to grow together." The employees smiled and applauded, feeling the pride of knowing they had contributed to the positive changes. It wasn't about a single person's success. It was about the team coming together to make something better. They felt appreciated, and that made them want to continue working even harder. The boss left the cafe that evening feeling more satisfied than he had in a long time. He had come into this process with a desire to understand what was wrong with his business, But what he had discovered was even more important. His team was capable of greatness, and with the right guidance, they could achieve even more. He knew that this wasn't the end of their journey, but it was a significant milestone. The road to continuous improvement was always ahead, and with his team by his side, he felt confident they could face any challenge. As the boss watched his employees from afar, interacting with customers, and making the store a place of warmth and professionalism, he couldn't help but think about how far they had come. They had gone from a team that was simply going through the motions to one that truly understood the value of customer service. It had taken time, effort, and patience, but the results spoke for themselves. And as he looked forward, he knew that this new attitude would carry them to even greater success in the future. The store had changed. The employees had changed. And most importantly, the customers felt the difference. The boss knew that this was just the beginning of a brighter future for everyone involved.